Okay, Kim. I'm just going to ask you a few questions. This is our mid-course review so that I can get an idea as to how you feel you're doing, what we can do to make the experience as great as possible for you, determine any best practices, lessons learned early on so that we can make any changes that might be necessary earlier rather than later.
Okay.
So one of my first questions for you is, if you could tell us what you like best about the Management Academy thus far in your program. You're about halfway through. If you could name maybe 2 or 3 things that you like about the program and the experience here.
I really enjoy the fact that we work as a team, that the people that are within our class are like a project management team, and we communicate together in that way, and we decide how we're going to address issues if we're struggling with something in our study groups. So I really enjoy that part of it. I think it helps relate the project management aspect to our team, our class team.
Okay.
And some of the other things I would say, just the atmosphere. It's a small class, and you get to know the people very well, and learn things that they have experience in that you don't. And it helps to relate the information. Many times I'll ask Ananias or Philip a question, and they're able to shed knowledge on something that I couldn't relate to what they were talking about in the book. So I find that very helpful.
Okay. What's something that went into your decision-making process in coming to the Management Academy?
I had a colleague that I worked with who attended the Management Academy and spoke very highly of it. And then I also spent some time meeting you with my boss, and we both came out of that meeting with the same, wow, you know, this is very, very different. We had looked online and looked into some options. Nobody had the kind of class experience that you had spoke of on your website. And after communicating with you, did we have the same sense of, this is the right decision, this is where I need to gain my knowledge to pass the PNP.
I thank you for that, and I welcomed the opportunity to meet with you and your boss. And that was actually, I have to admit, the first time I had an employee and their boss, the support of their boss to come in, not only from a standpoint of supporting them to gain a certification, but actually go with them through the due diligence of determining which vendor to choose. So I really appreciated that. So if you might be able to give me just a little feedback from your boss's standpoint, what was the process that he had to go through to get this approved for you?
He has a mentor within our company, and he had really put it to me as far as, you need to do something to make yourself stand out, just in case anything were to happen. I've been doing project management for 10 years, and the amount of education that I have wouldn't make me stand out in trying to find a job in at another location, or doing project management of a different kind than what I currently do. So he made the suggestion that I look into this, and he said it would be, you know, probably a large cost for me if I chose to do it on my own, and would I consider that? And I spoke with Derek, and Derek shared some information about what it probably would cost, and I had conversations with you about the fee for the course, and I seriously was considering to do that just on my own, because I believe firmly in higher education and bettering myself so that I can present myself in a better manner, and I know it's needed. If for some reason I were employed, having a PMP certification and trying to find another project management job would be 10 times easier without it. Maybe not necessarily in the field that I'm currently working in, but it would open up other doors as well. And it's also developing me, more importantly than all of that. So that's really some of the reasons that he posed to me, and so it seemed a value, even if I were going to be the one to pay for it, that I was considering that option. And he went and spoke with his mentor, and they talked, and she has an education budget, and she said, yes, it's more than what we thought, but I'm willing, you know, so let me know and see if you can negotiate. And we did, and it worked out. So we were able to get the approval for that, and I'm very grateful for it. And just to top it all off, I mean, Pierre he's awesome in that respect, as far as supporting and promoting education and just furthering yourself in general. He referred to this for me as getting an MBA. You know, he did that. He said, but this for you, that's what it's going to be like.
And he's absolutely right. He's
So
absolutely right.
that helped me to go, okay, you know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be an impact on all aspects of my life. But when I'm done, I'm going to have a certification in my hand. So.
Absolutely. Now you did like this, and this is one of the things we do in class. Can you just share what this?
This is my output. That when I'm done with my inputs and my tools and techniques, this is what I have. And I'm going to be a PMP certified project manager, and I'm going to own my value.
Well, that is awesome. And I have one other question for you. Well, you kind of touched on it, but my next question is, what has been most challenging thus far? You're halfway through your program. What has been most challenging, and how have you dealt with it or overcome it?
For me, I want to say the very front side of the class, because walking in, it was an unknown for me. It's been a while since I've been in the classroom. You eased that right off the bat. Yes, there was a lot of commitments that you put in front of us, and that could be overwhelming, but once you built your routine and you made the commitments that I'm going to find the time to do this, it's important to me, and if I don't give it the right amount of time, I'm not going to get what I need out of it. So I'm a very dedicated person when I make my mind up to do something. For me to do that and then start the process and go, it really is every bit of what she said it was. This really is what it's going to need to get it done. And so finding the time to do that. So time constraints, managing the time. What's the best time for me? When you said early morning, that's when you're the freshest. That really worked for me, because many people do late nights, and I don't feel like I'm retaining at that point. So finding that out, building that hour and a half or two that I could early morning into my schedule, then maybe hitting an hour at lunch, hour or two in the evenings, it helped me to build the time that I needed to really digest the information. And I hope that, you know, when I get to the point and I'm doing simulations, that I have the confidence to go, no, I remember this. This is what I need to do, you know, to read this question correctly, to get the right answer, and that I have the confidence to get there.
Well, we have quizzes after every chapter that we cover. And what are your thoughts on the couple of scores that you've had that you've brought back to your boss?
Oh, I'm excited about them. I'm very excited about them. And, you know, in the midterm, that threw me for a little bit of a loop. But I understand now that at that point where we're at in this process, we're not 100%. You're halfway through. We're building. We're not at the point where we're going to know how to read every single question, and we're going to get tripped up. And that's where you're going to find where you need to focus, how you need to address those issues, so that the next time you see that question, you go, I get it. It says accept, or there's two critical paths, or whatever it is, you're going to remember it. And so that's really, I think that's been a great lesson learned. And I look forward to doing some of the Exam Central stuff and gaining more knowledge and my interpretation skills.
Can you give me your feedback on what you think of the teaching strategy used in the program, and how that strategy is used to help you understand and retain the course information?
Yeah, I think it's been very easy to digest. The way you set us up every day with the dump sheet. I mean, if you were to just say, I expect that you're doing this dump sheet, but no, every time we walk into the class, take out your piece of paper, do a dump sheet. And the first time you ever had us do it, it seemed overwhelming again, because there was a lot of information and we had just wrote it down the week before. And I know you didn't expect us to be able to spit it all out verbatim, but it let us understand that one day we're going to get here, and each time we do it, we're going to build on it. And that's why it's important to do it and do it and do it and do it. And to be honest with you, the first time I did it, I was like, wow, this is really going to be difficult, but I'm there now. And I don't know how much more is to come on that dump sheet, but I've got that one conquered, and I like it.
Last question. What do you think could be improved? Did I ask you that already?
No.
Okay. What do you think can be improved?
I think different questions than the end of the chapter. Throwing us some curveballs. I like to be challenged, and I would probably see the end of the chapter questions 3 times. Whereas when we get in front of the new ones, like with the midterm, I felt reading the first couple that had double negatives, it was like, what are they really saying? And practicing with our time skills as far as reading a question, digesting it, so that we become comfortable. And I'm sure we're going to do some of that. It's just, to me, that's, I don't know where in the process that step comes, but I feel like I want to expose myself to it. I want to,
Okay.
and I may be, I'm probably a person that may jump ahead to where I
That's
don't need
okay.
to be, but I think that would be good. And then I know on the when we take a test as a group, like the midterm, and I don't think there's a way to do this because there's copyright infringements, but having to almost be as a team, but we're not a team. We're answering the questions separately because it's almost like I think I changed some answers. Like I had more time and no one else was ready to go to the next question. And that made it a little bit of a difficult for me to keep my mind prepared for the next question, but not doubt my answer on the question that we were currently on.
Okay, point well taken.
But I don't know how we would do that. That's an interesting fact because you can't print it out. So.
Well, anything else you'd like to add or comment that we haven't discussed as a close?
I would just like to thank you for the opportunity and the knowledge that you're sharing with us and the way that you go about teaching us and encouraging us and building us and at times being the strong voice in the classroom that says you need to do this and this is why. And I just thank you and can't think of a better place to go and learn this at, and I don't think I would be successful. So.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. And I appreciate you and your contributions to the class. They are welcomed and they are highly regarded. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. I know you want to get home.
I will send Mr. Ananias in.